Welcome back on Demo. Today I want to propose you the unboxing and review about the White Dwarf June 2019 released by the Games Workshop, and we can start to see the cover of such White Dwarf, and we can see one of the main themes that we can find, and there are the new first layers, or better, new things related about the first layers with a lot of background about them, and they will be complete because this time there will be also the points, so we'll be able to play the character because there is a hero, but we'll see quite soon, and the War Scroll battalions related about, so it's really quite interesting about, and there are also a lot of other things that are really quite interesting inside. So now we can go to start see the contents inside here. Here we can find the introduction that it's the theme of the White Dwarf, the other cover that we can find about the cover of the White Dwarf if you take the one about the ordering from the Games Workshop directly. So if you have the subscription to the White Dwarf itself, it's not bad, but I prefer this one anyway. And here we can find the introduction to the White Dwarf itself. Here we can find the contents that are inside. There are quite a lot. Here we can find the mailing from the readers to the White Dwarf itself, and it can be interesting, at least this one about the article about the painting for this Imperial Knight, that can be really quite interesting. And in a way it can be quite fun sometimes to read. Here we can find the readers' models. Here it's all about one reader that sent the images about his army about Nargo, that it's quite interesting way. Here we can find this, that it's an article realized by Fichelli about the gods in Warhammer, generally, because you can apply this both for the Warhammer 40k and the Age of Sigmar, so it's not a problem, and it's mainly an analysis of the meaning about the gods themselves, so it can be really quite interesting that way. Here we have an image that it's about Age of Sigmar and the part about the first layers against the orcs, because the first layers are one of the main themes inside this White Dwarf. And here we have the fiction that it's related to this imaging, that it's about the first layers against the orcs themselves, as you can see. So it can be really quite interesting to read. Here we have about Gur, that it's the realm of the beast, so we have an article about this realm, and I find it really quite interesting to understand it, even if I prefer the previous versions of the analysis of this, because sincerely I don't find it so useful as before about the modifying zone. I prefer the one they made you see something a bit better, I think. But anyway, there is quite a lot of things. Here we can find the different ways to texture the bases eventually. Here we can find the part about the rules of engagement. This is about how to create your rewards for your heroes when you realize some campaigns and so on. I find it really quite interesting ones, and here we have some suggestions on how to treat it. It's about the common ones, and we have also the part about the names eventually. But I find it really quite eventually interesting to personalize your way to play. So it's something that I suggest to read, even only to have something to propose for your group eventually. So it's quite interesting. And this it's about the first list that I talked before. Here we have the background of a sort of camera of first layers. So we have a sort of index Astartes related about a particular one, about a particular group of first layers. So it's really quite interesting one. They are from Ashki, so from the realm of fire, and I find it really quite complete and quite interesting one, because there is a lot of background that I suggest you to read if you're interested about the first layers, or eventually or even only about the part of the background of Age of Sigmar. And here we have the new war scrolls that are official ones. So we have the War Scroll battalions. We have 4 new War Scroll battalions. here we have the new hero, and here we have also the points about those ones. So these ones are playable because we have also the points to talk about. It's really quite interesting that way. And we have a specific battle plan inventory, so it can be really interesting to play it. And here, how to paint, how to modify, how to realize the first list that we talked about. So it can be really quite interesting one. We have this technique that can be really quite interesting to realize. So there are quite a lot of things that I suggest you to take note, because it can be really amazing to have. These paintings can be useful or not, it's up to you, but surely can be quite useful if you want to learn how to paint the flames, for example, here. So it can be really quite interesting as painting guide. Here we had the part about the Warhammer 40k, because till now we talked about the Age of Sigmar. And here we had the part about the Genestealer cults, the updating of the army itself. So we have Robin Crowders that talked about how they developed the Genestealer cults, and it crossed as a codex the 2 generation about, because it has been released for the previous edition and now it has been evolved about. So the ambush rules and so on, that it's the main characteristic about such army. So it's quite interesting, and it's an article and make you understand their feeling about the rules of an army that is characterized in the way of the rules themselves. Really quite interesting one. Then we had the Warlords of Vigilus with the 4 warlords that continues to evolve their army, and here we can find those armies evolved, and it's really quite interesting one. So we can find how they progressed with the painting and so on of their own armies. So to see and to take note, eventually to take note about some modifications that they do and so on. I think that they can be really quite interesting ones. We can continue, and we can find another fiction, this time about 40k, so it's a really quite interesting one. And here we have a battle report that it's about the Genestealer cults that we talked about just now, and the Ultramarines ones, the new ones. We have the background of the things, so with the schemes of war and so on, so it can be really quite interesting one. And we can find the armies that has been played, and what I don't like is that they come back to the PowerPoints again. Sincerely, I don't appreciate such a thing. I find it really awful, because it doesn't make a good association with how much you are going to play, really, sincerely. But anyway, we can see the battle against, and so we have a report about. It's quite interesting as a report anyway. Simply, I don't like the usage of such pointing, simply it. But anyway, we have the battle report that improve during the game itself. And then we have the final. And then we have here the rules, new rules about Warhammer 40k, because has been released the last month the part about Age of Sigmar for the Battletome of the Slaanesh ones. So there's been the updating of new rules for playing the Demons of Slaanesh in your Warhammer 40k army, so that you have these available for your playing. And we can find a lot of interesting things about, with also the points, so it's really quite interesting to play with. Then we can flip, we can find something related about Middle-earth that was missing in the last months a bit. And here we had the new scenarios and so on, so we have quite a lot of interesting things to see about. Here we have Cosbane, that it's a video game about the Slayers of the Dwarfs, and it's related about the old background of Warhammer Fantasy. So here we can see what they have realized about. Here we have about new rules for Kill Team, so it can be really quite interesting for the ones that play such a game, because it can be really improving in their way. There are a lot of new things available. Here we have new rules again about the Blackstone Fortress, so we have also that being that it's improved each time, because they are really pointing a lot on improving such games. So we have quite a lot of new rules, new scenarios about. Here we have the talking about the network. We're talking about strategies and so on. For the ones that play this game, can be really quite interesting, I think. This is about Blood Bowl, with tactics about the games for using them. So it's about using different themes and having the tactics about. So it can be really quite interesting one. And here it's about the Black Library, and it can be called an interview to Bowden as an writer. So we can see quite a lot of things about, and I think that it's quite interesting about having to clarify. For example, they point quite a lot to the new book about Spears of the Emperor. So it can be really quite interesting to understand how the background can be evolved from some scraps that before there were. So it's really quite interesting one. Here we have about Black Library a little part about the background of the Emperor Spears, so it can be really quite interesting. And so we have the third one about the fictions that we can find inside here, so quite interesting about. Here we have inside the studios, so we can find the anticipation of what we'll see in the next ones about the articles that we find in the White Dwarf itself, so it can be really quite a good anticipation, so at least to give a sight. Here we can find at the end the part about subscribing to the White Dwarf and a better imaging about the alternative cover that we have for this number of the White Dwarf. So if you make a subscription to the White Dwarf, you receive this number that anyway don't like too much. I prefer the normal one, but I like the fact that there are not any writings on the cover itself. It's really quite interesting that way. And then we have this, because the next month we have an article about the Indeska starters for the Blood Ravens that has quite a big and long history about them. I also participate in evolving for a certain type in a sort of fun codex about the Blood Ravens themselves, because they have really quite an amazing background about. So what to say about this White Dwarf? I think that it's really quite amazing. If you are interested in having the rules for the Middle Earth, for the Phase layers, because there is also the new background related about, and it's really quite interesting, I think. If you're interested about the Blackstone Fortress, if you're interested about Kill Team, there are quite a lot of interesting things. There is also the part about Gur that it's really quite interesting, about having the plane for the modifying your miniatures for that realm, so that you can play and characterize your army about. So there are really quite a lot of different things, and I think that it's really quite a good White Dwarf, that it's full of options that you can be interested about. So in this case, I suggest you quite warmly to buy such White Dwarf itself. So from Dynomod, it's everything. I invite you to put a like on this video, to subscribe to the channel, to ring the bell, and to comment this video if you are interested in something about this video, or you want to suggest me some arguments for other videos. I hope to see you again to the next time.